The Lancashire Lasses, how are you? Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Julian.
How are you, ladies? Where are you all at the moment?
Well, we're all in Lancashire. I'm in my bedroom.
And I'm in my dining room.
And I'm in the office at home.
Nice. Well, thanks a lot for coming on board and coming to sit down to talk about your adventures, your tuk-tuk adventures. First up, like how do you guys all know each other, and how did you find out about these trips?
So I met Andrea because both our sons swam for the same swimming club when they were young, and then I met Carol through Andrea, and I heard about the tuk-tuk challenge because it came up on my Facebook page.
So we've been doing some.
Passed it on to Andrea.
I know Carol for Carol and I have known each other for 30 plus years. Is it, Carol?
Yeah,
I think we met through our husband's involvement in motorsport, rallying, etc. So that's been quite a long while. And Maxine shared the Facebook page about the tuk-tuk challenge. Probably, I don't know why she shared it, but I got it, and I just sort of messaged like, "I'm in. How about you?" And that's where took it from there, really.
That's where it all began. And then, Carol, were you just dragged on as third member of the team?
Absolutely, third wheel, me.
She's never third wheel.
The thing is, Maxine shared it with us, and then decided that she didn't think she could do it. And when it was like, oh, can't do it. But as you well know, Julian, she definitely sent you her fair share of questions and emails. And it all came good, and we just went for it.
You're taking me back now. Yes. So I remember being inundated with a serious amount of questions regarding safety regulations, health regulations. And I think at one point I was very close to writing back saying, "Do you know what you've signed up for?"
Julian,
did you read anything about what you were signing up for?
No. So basically, a customer of mine came into my shop and said, I told her about the holiday, and she said, "Are you mad? Have you ever been there before?" "No." "You're going to die. You're going to leave your son an orphan. Don't do it. Whatever you do, please don't do it." Emergency meeting with the girls. So then we decided, look, we'll go see. Whatever will be, will be. If we can't do something, we'll just pull out. We're like, okay. Landed in Colombo at the airport. First person we spoke to, "What are you here for?" Told him. He went, "You're going to die. Don't do it. You're mental. Whatever have you seen the traffic?" I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this." So yeah,
I think our sort of idea about it always really well. We've got our credit cards. The worst comes to the worst, we just check into a hotel for a couple of weeks and chill by the pool.
So it was
we didn't like it.
It was a serious consideration that kind of moments before arriving, there was you'd already contemplated about not actually doing the rally.
I don't think Andrea had. She was going to go anyway.
No, but it was
Brilliant.
As in the three Tucketeers, of course, it was all for one for all. If one didn't like what was happening, then we just flash the credit cards and have a bit of chill time. No questions. If anybody didn't like anything, then we just wouldn't bother getting involved with it. But it would turn out to be one of the best things we've ever done.
Nice. What were you going to say, Carol?
No, I was going to say, if you think she bombarded you with emails before we came out there to Sri Lanka, oh my goodness. She was on the phone and sending messages every single day for 2 months before we went. And Andrea and I were like, really? Are you sure we're doing the right thing taking it? She's just going to be an absolute nightmare. But you know what? She came into her own when we got out there, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Really.
So what were your? Yeah, I have to say when I first met you guys, and then it was like you said, turning up in Sri Lanka in Negombo, that first hotel. What was your first like memories then of jumping on the tuk-tuk, seeing the tuk-tuk, driving the tuk-tuk for the first time? Was it something like I'd obviously tried to explain what it was going to be like, but nothing really prepares you for that first interaction with the tuk-tuk and then learning to drive and stuff. Was it as you expected? What was it like?
I've been in tuk. Well, I've been in tuk-tuks before in Thailand a few times, so I knew sort of what they were and what they did and how crazy people were actually driving them. But I think I've never driven a motorbike. Now, I was sort of thinking it's probably similar to a motorbike, but it was really sort of a combination of motorbike and car. I think once you'd actually got the clutch and the gear side of things sorted out, I found it okay. It wasn't too difficult really. And so you had to remember that there was a wheel in the middle at the front, didn't you, Carol?
Oh, you're talking about Andrew.
No, we never mentioned that, did we? When we came back.
No. On the one and only day that we were driving, and there was a stone in the middle of the road, and the girls I was driving, the girls were in the back, and they both said to me, "Watch out, there's a boulder in the road." So what's your instant reaction? Keep it in the middle of the vehicle.
So you do the driving, you do the first day, you all get like used to driving the vehicle. Talk me through, because obviously I don't see anything that goes on, on the road in the trip. I see some happy and unhappy faces when we get back to a hotel. Listen to some complaints, listen to some serious adventures. But what was it like in the day? Were you all sharing the driving? Did you swap around?
Yeah, we kind of took it in turns. So after a couple of hours, we'd swap over with somebody. But kind of on the first day, I think that's the day to the fish and then the candy, up to candy, isn't it? And
it was the first breakdown as well, wasn't it?
We had a breakdown. I stalled it on a train level crossing, nearly ran over a woman crossing a zebra crossing. When we got into Candy, I just had enough. I went, "You take it, I can't take it anymore." And then we were turning right on this like kind of dual carriageway, and I don't know who was driving at the time, and we just stalled it in the middle of the road, and then we were rocking it to get it going. It sat in the tuk-tuk, and it just kind of the momentum rolled us into this cafe, and we just started to like, oh my god. It was like sensory overload though, because it's so busy in the city when you're coming out of Colombo. It's so busy and there's so much going on. There's so many people, there's so many tuk-tuks and cars and coming at you from everywhere. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you kind of got used to that, actually nobody really wants to die here. Everybody's trying to miss everybody rather than everybody's trying to, come at you. Then yeah, it's quite good fun. It becomes really good fun actually, really good fun. But you get wet a lot as well, which is also quite funny.
Did you, because I can't remember it being particularly rain. I mean, yeah, you get obviously there's throughout the day there's a mixture of wonderful tropical weather, really, isn't there? And then
it dries up and you.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think that first day.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that first day when we broke down, really sort of introduced us to the Sri Lankan people really well as well, because we sort of broke down in the middle of this busy town, and within about 10 seconds there were 8 or 9 people around us trying to help us, trying to work out what we needed to do. They're all tuk-tuk experts, of course, so they're all trying to fix it themselves in the first place. But then the middle-aged guy came along and said, "I'll get my son, he'll jump in your tuk-tuk, he'll drive you to the garage can then fix it." So we're thinking, right, some total stranger is going to jump into our vehicle and drive us off somewhere, and we've no idea where we're going to go. But this young lad was absolutely fantastic. It cost us about £2.50 to get the thing fixed. Everybody wanted to know what we were doing and why we were there. Because, of course, women don't drive tuk-tuks generally in any way. Never mind 3 middle-aged white women in the middle of Sri Lanka. And we just got so much, whenever we stopped anywhere, we just got so much attention. But it was all really good attention, really fun attention. And everybody just wanted to help and to know what you were doing.
Yeah, it's one of the best parts of the trip, in my opinion. Like just that access to meeting just the local people, what it's really like in the country. Not to mention, obviously, Sri Lanka has I think the highest density of tuk-tuks on the planet. It really does. Genuinely, that's a true fact. Was it your first time in Sri Lanka, or it was? You'd never been before?
No. Never been to the east before myself.
And I seem to remember you saying that obviously this was your first kind of tuk-tuk adventure, because there's not many of these things around. But had you done any of these kind of similar trips? I mean, how do you normally go on your well-earned vacations, holidays?
I spend a lot of I spent a lot of time in the States for my husband's business, but I'd also not long started going sailing. I took Maxine on a couple of trips, which were which were quite well. I thought they were good fun. And that's one where you go along, you join a boat with total strangers. So in some ways, it's sort of similar to the tuk-tuk adventures in that you get to meet a group of people that you wouldn't normally meet. So I've done that, but a lot of my other holidays have been relatively routine, shall we say.
Yeah, that's the same for me. What about you, Carol? You're the same, right? Yeah, really? Yeah, more beachy. You like a pool, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I thought you were going to say that you've done multiple tuk-tuk adventures, Carol.
No. Seriously, it's one of the best holidays. And you can't really explain to somebody just how fun it is. And I mean, even when we got to Manchester Airport and we were checking in, the biggest devastation for me was when I got there and my hand luggage weighed 10 kilograms. We were flying with Emirates. I've been used to flying with Jet2 and EasyJet. 10 kilograms of hand luggage, and they said to me it was overweight and I had to empty my bag out. And I was like, oh my God, this is the start of something that I'm not going to be happy with. But
still managed to get that sponge through, though.
Right, we got the sponge through and the 10 face bags, wash bags. And I think for me, to be honest, the first day when we broke down and within seconds people were there to help us, I just thought, you know what can go wrong now? You knew that there was always somebody there, and you did feel really, really safe. And I don't know. It never. I think all our worries were quickly taken away by the fact that you knew there was always somebody there to help you, and you were never going to be stuck.
What were this is to all of you as well, not just you, Carol, but I know you've spoken about kind of key moments at the beginning of the trip, like memories that stand out and stuff, but what were your, like, if they were, if you're speaking to someone down the pub or whatever, like your really kind of memories of that particular Sri Lanka, because I know we're going to talk about India in a bit, because you loved it so much that you came back and decided, glutton for punishment, to do India as well. But like Sri Lanka wise, what were the, like, if there were any highlight moments or things that stood out, even if it was just between you guys as a team, driving the tuk-tuk or anything, actually, like other teams?
Well, so for me, the one story that I kind of tell is me running the gauntlet with the elephants through Yala National Park. And that day was full of various things going on. But
that day that kind of goes down in like Lanka Challenge and Lanka Tuk-Tuk like history, because I mean, you carry on with yours and I will elaborate maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, no, because obviously what had happened earlier on during the day, because we became quite close friends with obviously one of the other teams that the incident happened to, and then we were on with the challenge, and that they'd had that incident, so we were all a little bit sort of shaken by that, and then we had to come. We were told that one of the tuk-tuks had been overturned on going through the Yala National Park by an elephant. This just happened to be a day that I was driving. So Carol and Andrew are like, whatever you do not stall the engine. Do not stall the engine. And we were.
Can I just say though, Maxine? Can I just say, Maxine? We did say to you, you can drive through the park, and we sat Maxine in the front with all the food. So if there was ever going to be an incident with the elephants, we were going to get her, not me and Andrea.
Plan ahead.
You'd said, whatever you do, get rid of any food out of your tuk-tuks and stuff like that. And so we set up and we were following the van which you guys were in. I came across the first elephant, and he kind of threw some bananas out and he moved out of the way. So we kind of nipped round the back of you, so we'd got past him. And then when we came to the next elephant, he had this great big bush in his trunk and he was swishing it across the road. And I was thinking, oh my God, we're in like an Asda's trolley here. This elephant is massive, he's so huge. And you guys went through again, but this time, he didn't kind of move out of the way, this elephant. So we sat there and I'm revving up, and every time he moved, he was going, go now. And I was like, oh, no. Like, we'll have to wait until we've got a good opening. And then eventually another van came the opposite direction, and the elephant kind of moved out of the way, and that was it. Floor down, revving up the tuk-tuk. And we're screaming as we go past the elephant. And it was like something out of Wacky Races. It was so funny. I mean, at the time, we were really nervous, but looking back, it was the funniest thing ever. And that elephant was the biggest animal I've ever seen in my life. But obviously, it's all safe.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking back, that moment, like I said, was one of the, yeah, I guess standout moments, even in our kind of 10, 11, 12 years of running that trip, because, you know, obviously we went, in the earlier days when we were driving through Yala National Park, there was there was a lot of military checkpoints, because so you couldn't, there wasn't a lot of access to that road. I'm talking early days. And now, ever since that trip, and I guess a few years before, there's been some resident kind of wild elephants that have learned that all the buses and vehicles that go past feed the elephants, so they just stay there for a free kind of banana and watermelon meal. And I remember this was the first year that I had specifically said to people driving, do not feed the animals, because, you know, nobody endorses feeding wild animals. And then someone had told me, I'd got the message through that a tuk-tuk had been flipped by an elephant, and I was like, come on, you're joking. This is a joke. And that was actually a time where that someone else, I think another tourist, had caught it on camera, and then that video happened to go completely viral. And I had to then somehow change my tune, because it was, I said, don't feed the elephants. Well, apparently, if you have to feed the elephant to get away from the elephant, then maybe leave it like a bunch of bananas as a gift or something, you know?
Now, if only we'd have known.
Yeah.
Maxine, Andrew and I had already thought it through. If there was going to be any problem, you were getting out and sorting it out.
You can't get out from the back very quickly without the front person getting out, of course.
I knew I was the main course.
Yeah, I suppose with a memory like that one, navigating the elephants is always going to stand out, isn't it? I mean, it's quite, yeah. Now on the southern, so it was the southern route. On the southern route, they that seems to be like just because they're constantly there. So it is like running the gauntlet, especially when you're in such a small
thing,
tuk-tuk, to get by.
Also, I think the other night I really enjoyed, and I think the girls probably agree with me, was the camping night. Although Carol was really,
Carol was stressing so much about camping.
Julian, that was nightmare on Elm Street for me.
Why is that, Carol? I do seem to remember a few
Well,
concerns that you had before. Can you
yeah,
elaborate?
because Julian, you know, it's just not for me camping. I'm sorry. And when we got there, the tent, the shower block, it was like a fabric square. Maxine went in first. It was like a Barbara Windsor moment. She threw the bra over the top of the blooming canvas, had a wash, came out, and I had to go in, and everybody's milling around. And the thing was, it was so hot and so humid. You got out the shower, you tried to dry yourself off. And then Julian, no, and it didn't help the fact that there were snake skins on the campsite. There were elephant poos the size of buckets. And you kept saying to us, oh, you'll be all right, nothing will happen. And it was like, oh my goodness, no. But you know what? I did it. And, you know, I don't have any regrets, but I won't be doing the camping again.
So, yeah, Maxine signed you up already for the next trip, and it's just basically it's a camping only version.
Oh no.
No, yeah, camping and no sponges.
No, I've already got my plan of the backup vehicle. I'll be sleeping in that, Julian. I won't be in any tent. Andrea, actually, you know, and when I think about that now, Andrea nearly died in that tent because we'd had a really good evening. We sat around the campfire singing songs, and they were passing. What was it? The drink that they were passing around.
Iraq.
And every time it came to me,
tolerance.
I know, but Andrea, it was terrible. Every time it came to me, I just put it up to my lips. Never took a drink. Every time it came to Andrea, she glued it back. In the morning, we could get her out the tent because it was 120 degrees in there, and she couldn't move.
Needless to say, I didn't drive that day, at least not in the morning.
Yeah,
to be honest, I think. Go on, Maxine.
No, go on, Carol. Go on.
No, I was going to say, to be honest, every single day there was something that it made us laugh, or it was just, you got to be there. And actually, we met some really nice people that were in the other tuk-tuks along the way, and the people that we've remained friends with for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favourite moment was when we had to go and cook in somebody else's house. So you got your budget to go and do the shopping, you got your shopping list, and then you had to find somebody to actually teach you to cook, and then eat with them in their home. And we sort of were hanging around. We'd stop for some reason or other, take a photograph or whatever. And some guys came up, like they did, and started chatting, and eventually it went down the line of, what are you trying to do? We said, well, we need to find somebody who will let us go into their kitchen and cook and teach us to cook this food. So I came up and said, right, okay, follow my friend on his motorbike. He'll take you to a house. So again, it's this, do we set off and follow this total stranger down these back roads? We don't know where we're going. And we got this house, and lovely woman called Shireen, who we spent about 2.5 hours with her and her family, with her teaching us to cook in her kitchen on her little 2 gas rings, and we had an absolutely fabulous time. And it was so humbling to actually be invited in to somebody's home to do that, and then think afterwards that if somebody came knocking on your door over here and said, can I come and cook in your kitchen, you'd say, are you mad? Go away, you're not coming into here. This is my home, you're not coming in. Whereas there it was just, yeah, absolutely, come on in. And she actually I think she had to leave eventually because she had to go to work. But otherwise we could have stayed a lot longer, I think.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about Sri Lanka is just some of the friendliest people I've ever met in my life, and yeah, it's amazing, and that's a really fun challenge. It kind of gets people to really get out of their comfort zone, and really look for, like, dive into, just scratch the surface.
Thing is, Julian, that particular challenge, not being funny, but how much more could it have been geared for 3 middle-aged women from Lancashire? here's £5, go to the market, get yourself these ingredients for less than £5, and then go back and cook them. I mean, it was designed for us. That's what we do all the time.
And speaking of like the challenges, because I also remember, Carol, and you seem to be quite competitive at the beginning of the challenge, or pretending not to be, at least, and inquiring a lot about what the challenge, what were the points all about, and then eventually saying that that you weren't going to participate in any of the challenges. And then I think, what was the result of that, Carol?
What the end result of the whole thing?
Yeah, it seems I think you guys participated in quite a lot of the challenges, didn't you?
We did it. There were very few that we didn't participate in.
That's what I mean. Didn't you end up winning the entire?
Yeah, we did.
You guys crowned the winners.
We were crowned the winners, absolutely, yeah. And to be honest, that was one of the best moments ever, because in the afternoon we'd finished the whole challenge, we'd got back to the hotel, and we felt certain that we knew who'd won, and we were edging our bets. Well, maybe we'll get a second or we'll get a third. And it was the funniest thing was Maxine was saying, well, we need to practice our faces for when they announce the results. So when it's like in third place and it's like, oh, fantastic, in second place, fantastic. And then when obviously we're not going to win, and it's like, oh, fantastic. But then when you read the results out in reverse order and it came to third place and we were still in it, and then you read the second place out and it was like, no, absolutely no way. Just, I can't. We were speechless.
I think considering we set off thinking, are we actually going to make it through this trip without chucking the tuk-tuk keys back at you and saying we're heading to the hotel, to go from that level to thinking actually we're getting through it, we're surviving, we're doing what we do, we're partaking in these challenges, and we're actually getting through some of them, to then at the end thinking I think we've done okay. We might, like Carol said, we might get a third or get a second. To actually have won it, considering the competitiveness of one or two of the other teams as well, it was just, we were just jumping, absolutely jumping, in our matching outfits, of course.
Yeah, and I have to say, Julian, I take my hat off to you, because you never, ever gave anything away. I can remember saying to you 2 or 3 days before the end, so are we doing all right? Have we got enough time?
Can I just correct you on that? It was not 2 or 3 days. It was from the first day, I think you were asking.
Oh, dear. Velociraptor, isn't she?
I mean, we actually went so far as to get up. I said we went so far as to get up 10 minutes early in the morning to make sure that somebody at least was down there for the morning briefing, because we were desperate not to lose any points by not having somebody at the morning briefing.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think we should say, Julian, is the fact that how well organised it all is, and the places that we stayed, camping aside. But seriously, all the places were lovely where we stayed. The food was brilliant. The whole thing, how you've organised it, it is really, really fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
really appreciate that.
Not that I want to, big you up or anything, Julian. But seriously, joking aside, and obviously the other people that work with you as well. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, on both trips we've had really good support teams, haven't we?
Yeah.
They've been really engaging and really, really helpful whenever you've needed them. They've been really, really kind.
Jumping to India, like you just mentioned there, because obviously you guys did Sri Lanka and then you came back, like I said already, kind of suckers for punishment, decided to jump on the Indian version. So driving around Kerala, like some of the most beautiful regions of Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, a little bit of Tamil Nadu. What was I hate the comparison question because obviously you don't want to compare the two. They're completely different in the sense, different destinations, but you know the theme is the same. You're still driving in a little tin can around the countryside. Like what anything that stands out, like differences in your memory about the trips?
Well, I think the thing is with the India trip, we'd gone because it was a little bit hit and miss whether it was going to happen because they'd had that awful flood, hadn't they?
The
So
floods,
there was
yeah.
quite a bit of change around. So we were a bit apprehensive about that, what it was going to be like. And also, obviously, we'd driven tuk-tuks before, although these were slightly different.
Yeah.
So we were kind of a bit more confident about that. I don't know. I'd say I enjoyed them equally the same.
Yeah.
Just differently. I don't really know how to describe it really, but yeah, I just enjoyed them both the same.
Yeah,
Well, put it this way, Julian.
Yeah.
We had some personal circumstances for Maxine and myself, and we couldn't. So we were going to come back for the third year to go to Cambodia, but things happened, and we weren't able to make it. But definitely would love to do a Cambodia trip, and we've seen some of the things that you've posted about Italy, and you know, once everything settles down and we're allowed to travel, Italy's definitely on our radar.
More up your street,
Definitely.
Carol.
Pardon?
More up your street, Italy, then.
A little bit more fun.
Well, look, I definitely love to do Cambodia. Definitely.
It's the wine region in Italy looking forward to, isn't it?
Well, Maxine, why have you... Look, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm sorry. Just saying.
I think when you suggested the India trip and it was your first time doing a trip there, initially we sort of said, no, we don't want to go on a guinea pig trip. We don't want to be the first ones to have it all tried out on. But when we eventually we said, like, we've nothing better to do. Why the heck not? So yeah, we'll go. And I certainly don't regret going. Even with the floods and the changes you had to make to the routes, in some ways it made it better to go when it sounds horrible, but the fact that they had such big problems, you actually could see the problems they had, and you could, you know, get involved. I think one day we spent some time helping a guy plaster a wall that he was repairing after, and a very, very tiny little thing, and that was part of one of the challenges, to actually get involved in something and helping some of the local people.
Yeah.
But just to see the devastation actually really brings it home to you. And one occasion when we were having to leave a hotel and go down the road, and there was a digger there pulling the big boulders down from the rock slide, and we had to time getting past while the boulders were falling. I mean, that was very unnerving. But India was, to me, India was just as good as Sri Lanka. I mean, we were a smaller group. I think there were only six teams there on that trip. So there would maybe quite as lively in the evenings, but we certainly made the most of it, we thought.
Yeah, and I think that one of the differences in, like, compared to Sri Lanka is in Sri Lanka, because it's relatively small island, but there's tuk-tuks and rickshaws like everywhere. Like, you know, every town, every city, whether you're in the highlands, by the coast, whereas in India, you know, you kind of assume that there are rickshaws in every city, because it's kind of something that you always associate with India, that it's the home of rickshaws, really, of like auto rickshaws. But then you go into some of the, especially up in Kerala, in the hill stations and the higher ground, there's none, and then they weren't even allowed. I don't know if you remember that time.
I think Maxine remembers that hill, that small hill.
Oh my! Oh, yes, I remember that mountain climb. But I tell you, the other thing was, we went through one town, and it was like literally motorbike city. There were just so many motorbikes. I've never ever seen so many more. They were just like everywhere. Hardly any, like you say, hardly any rickshaws, but loads and loads of motorbikes. And that wasn't far from that that day up the mountain, yeah. The windy roads, very steep mountain.
But initially, when we were trying to get up that mountain, they weren't for letting us up, were they? I think you had some issues with them allowing us to go up there in the rickshaws because they said.
I think it was more a question of them
there.
saying those aren't going to get it up. They're not going to get up the hill, so don't bother trying.
Yeah. And you are aware that there are buses and trucks going to be flying down the hill on the wrong side of the road, and you're there in this little tin can, which Maxine was trying not to think about.
Well, the next day I had to say to Andrea and Carol, it's probably better I don't go to the morning briefing because I don't want to hear the safety briefing because it'll just get me nervous. So I've just put my head in the sand and the less I know, the better, really, and I'll just deal with it as it happens. But that was a great trip because we ended up playing cricket with a group of kids from this village. Which is a really
fantastic.
Lovely day, that. I really enjoyed India. And
I think the thing is that people don't realise you see so much more of the country travelling in a tuk-tuk. It's not like being on a coach or in a car or anything. You just see so many things and see how beautiful these countries are that I can't believe that more people don't actually do it. And especially with an organised trip, I'm not sure I'd set off and do something, go out to India and hire a tuk-tuk and set off. But when it's on an organised trip like you do with the large minority, you just feel so safe and there's somebody there to take your bags to the next hotel every night. And you know that if anything should happen, one day when we were in India, we did break down and the police arrived. Do you remember, girls? And Roger, the guy on the motorbike, who was the backup, he was there within seconds. And it was like, oh, thank God he's here because the police did stop us and ask us for our passports, which we didn't have.
Probably your driving, Carol.
No, I think one or two people did get into trouble for the speeding. We were never speeding, Julian. Good grief.
Well, we were never fined for speeding, were we? We didn't know that we were speeding because, of course, we have a speedo that worked. But
What was there a best driver out of you three?
No, that's an unfair question.
It is a little bit unfair, but there must have been
Julian, it's an unfair question, but let me just say it wasn't Maxine.
So I'll tell you what, though, there was definitely a bad passenger, and I will admit it was me. I'm the worst passenger ever.
Only under certain circumstances, Max.
I'll own that. I'm the worst passenger. And then
Does
you
that
gave us a horn, and then that was it then. Because it was like my stress ball then. Every time I got a bit stressed, I was needing the horn.
So, ergo, worst backseat driver goes to you, Maxine. Is that right? And then the best driver.
No.
I don't know, because between the two of them, we've had incidents galore. But I'd say even Stephen's on that.
Yeah.
They're both as good as one another.
Cool. Well, I know you guys don't have too much time. You've got to head off to work and stuff. But what are your, just if I can end on a few brief questions on what are your plans for how do you see travel kind of opening up now? Have you got anything booked? Are you booking stuff? Are you or is it just waiting to see how things play out?
I've got flights to the States for the end of August. They are ones that we've moved about 5 times through the pandemic. Trying to get out there for my husband's business. But it's fingers crossed. Who knows what the government's going to decide to do and what we'll be allowed to do. As soon as I know that I'm actually going to be able to travel, then I want to get something. Ideally, get a Cambodia trip booked, perhaps. Or an Italy trip booked. But certainly something, and maybe get some sailing in, hopefully.
Yeah, Carol, I heard you're booking our Amazon challenge because that one's basically got
How
Hammocks.
Got lots of luxury hotels and no camping whatsoever. You don't have to build your own shelter.
Listen, Julian, you can definitely put my name on Cambodia. You can definitely put my name on Italy. And the other thing is, have you not considered doing anything in the UK? Just
You
asking.
obviously haven't been following us closely enough, Carol, because we actually organised the first UK tuk-tuk rally last year.
Last year?
Yeah, in the summer. But no, it's a little bit different because you need to own your own tuk-tuk, which kind of leads me on to the next thing. You probably should buy a tuk-tuk here in the UK. I know just the people. I've got one. I'm not going to send you mine.
I'd love one.
I think we should share one, girls.
Julian, you've not seen where we live.
If you can get up that hill in India, Carol, so you can get up your drive.
I can see myself driving to Skipton in that.
I will introduce you to my good friend Rob from Tuk Tuk UK, and he will sell you a tuk-tuk at a great price.
I'm already friends with him on Facebook. I get regular updates of things that they're doing and the tuk-tuks that they sell. But can I just ask you, was the challenge that you did, was it down in the south?
No, we did it in Wales.
Well, yeah, but then, Julian, we were in full lockdown then, so we couldn't have done that anyway.
No, it was in the time where it was. Oh, maybe in Lancashire you were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we were level 4. Yeah, we were the bad guys.
Yeah, Lancashire. You've been in lockdown for about 2 years, haven't you?
Yeah,
like it.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
Mm.
A long time.
Well, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
If you're planning on doing anything in the UK again, could you maybe do it up in the sort of Lake Districts, Cumbria? Because, you know, we can help you plan the routes and everything, Julian. Wouldn't be a problem.
Done.
There'd be some free accommodation when you were scouting.
Yeah, you can plan the accommodation, Carol.
Just leave it with me, Julian. I'm on it.
Well,
No,
ladies, can I just
Julian,
say it was really nice to speak to you, and thank you for taking the time to come on and share your memories. I hope it brought them all back with us. I know you've got to get off, so yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say? But thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, no, just thanks very much for inviting us on, and good luck getting all the next ones up and running after the lockdown's over. We'll be listening and watching, see what's going on. And yeah, the last of us.
I hope lots and lots of people listening into this podcast, and that we get an invite to do a tuk-tuk travel show very, very soon.
Carol, I'm a little bit disappointed you didn't show the.
Sorry, yeah. We'll finish on a high, Julian.
Yeah.
So from our trip when we did our first one to Sri Lanka, then got one of the ladies who was on the trip worked for a publishing company, and
Michelle.
So not only Woman's Weekly contacted me, and I did an article. I was a bit gutted. Can I just? Where is my? Oh, there I am. And I was a little bit gutted when it was published to be on the same cover as Twiggy of all people.
Does it say strong bones above your head?
Yeah, but it says the caption next to my picture is, "I had a later life adventure. Find out how you can too."
Carol, you really are the poster girl of large minority, and we are only grateful to you for that.
So it opens up other things. To be fair, I was also contacted by Phil and Holly from Good Morning, but I had to decline.
You've got your standard step. All right. On that note, ladies,
thanks a lot. Great to speak to you.
Yeah, great to chat to you guys too, and hopefully we'll see you in Cambodia, Pakistan, perhaps, and Amazon for Carol.
Yeah, it needs to be somewhere with some vino for Carol.
Well, then the Barolo region of Italy is probably right up your.
You know, the thing is, though, I'll be driving the whole way there because the amount these two can quaff, there's no way they're going to be out that tuk-tuk in the morning. So they'll have to put up with my driving.
Be fine, Maxine. Won't even know what's going on.
It's probably just as well.
Brilliant, ladies. Have a good day, and we will speak to you soon.
See you
soon.
soon, Julian, hopefully. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love to Rachel as well.
Yeah.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.